big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. He is higher than a skyscraper, and He's deeper than a submarine. He is wider than the universe and beyond my wildest dreams. And He's known me and He's loved me since before the world began. How wonderful to be a part of God's amazing plan. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. He is higher than a skyscraper and deeper than a submarine. He is wider than the universe and beyond my wildest dreams. And He's known me and He's loved me since before the world began. How wonderful to be a part of God's amazing plan. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God. Our God is a great big God, and He holds us in His hands. 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 And He holds us in His hands.
And today, for Thursday, we are looking at the catacomb rescue. Catacombs were caves underneath Rome where they used to bury bodies, among other things. And one of the crafts today is to look at the story of the Good Samaritan. And there are a series of pictures of a Good Samaritan that you could colour in. And you can either then cut them out and make them into a storyboard, or just make stick puppets like those. That choice is yours, really. And another activity, if you remember, Ephraim in the Adventure of the Story Keepers needed papers in order to be able to leave Rome to go on to his next destination. So another thing that you have in there is a little passport sheet that you can put your name, age, favourite things, and draw yourself a picture and fold it, and you've got your fish sign, and on the back it says Messy Church. So there's two things, along with other things in the pack, that you can do on Thursday. So Ben, Helena and the children are on the way to a meeting with other Christians, but they are behaving very cautiously. Roman soldiers are looking for Ephraim, who is known as the greatest story keeper. The Christians arrive at the meeting giving their secret sign. Ephraim, who is there, is introduced. He says that Jesus is the greatest storyteller of all. and he tells the story of the Good Samaritan. Now, there is a stranger at the meeting whom Zach feels is acting suspiciously. The stranger, Polonius, is a spy for Nero, and he reports to Nero that Ephraim is in Rome. Nero orders 2 centurions, Nihilus and Tacticus, to search the city for him. Justin bumps into some soldiers and hurries back to warn the others. Justin and Anna escape with Ephraim through the back window, while Tacticus and Nihilus burst in through the front door. Justin, Anna and Ephraim set off for the catacombs. Ben has arranged for the Christians to meet there that night. As Ben enters the catacombs to meet up with Ephraim, Justin and Anna, Nihilus the centurion sees Ben's lantern. He and Tacticus chase after Ben. Tacticus falls down a hole, but Nihilus refuses to help him out. So the children come back and rescue Tacticus. Anna explains to him that they had to help him, just like the Samaritan in the story that Jesus told. Meanwhile, the Christians are anxious about Justin and Anna. They want revenge on the soldiers. Ephraim talks about forgiveness. And Tacticus says, if the people who hear these stories become like these children, then all of Rome should hear about your Jesus. And he gives Ephraim some travel papers so that he can move on to his next destination. Now we're going to listen to Sue tell us the story of the Good Samaritan.
The kind stranger. Jesus was teaching one day when a man in the crowd asked him a question. Can you tell me, Jesus, what I have to do to live forever? Jesus smiled. Love God and love your neighbour as yourself. But who is my neighbour? Asked the man, hoping to trick Jesus. Is he just the fellow who lives next door? Let me tell you a story, Jesus said, and I think you will understand. Once upon a time, there was a man like any one of us, who was travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho. Now, as you know, that is a very dangerous road. It's twisty and it's steep, and there are lots of places for robbers and thieves to hide. Well, the robbers were waiting that day, and they grabbed the man, and they beat him, and they took his money and left him to die. Oh dear, sighed the crowd. They felt sorry for the man. Jesus went on with his story. In a little while, another man came walking down that road, a priest, on his way home from worshipping God at the temple. He saw the dying man, and what do you think he did? He helped him, shouted someone in the crowd. He saved him, shouted another. No, said Jesus firmly, he did not. He took one look at that poor man, then crossed to the other side of the road and walked away. Oh my, the crowd murmured. Wait, Jesus continued. Soon another man passed by. He served God at the temple too. So what do you think this man did when he saw the man? He ran for help, shouted someone. He raised the alarm, shouted another. No, said Jesus again. He did not. Just like the priest, he crossed to the other side of the road and left the poor man to die. Oh no, the crowd sighed. Don't worry, said Jesus, for there was one more man who was passing by that day, and he was a Samaritan. A Samaritan, shouted someone. They're different from us. We hate Samaritans, shouted another. And they hate us, added a third. So I've heard, nodded Jesus. But when this Samaritan saw the man, he did not walk away. No, he bandaged his wounds. He loaded him on his donkey. He took him to a nearby inn, and he paid for that man to stay there until he was well. Jesus looked at the man who had asked the question. So tell me, he said, which of these men was a neighbour to the wounded traveller? The third one, the Samaritan, the man answered. That's right, Jesus smiled, because my neighbour is anyone who needs my help. Now you go and help your neighbour too.